Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky is here. That's me. Charlie Usen is here, the professional cameraman. Every break, having to fix my camera. I appreciate him so much. Thank you for doing that. Potawatomi Sportsbook, we will be there on Monday nights doing some trivia during Monday Night Football between Detroit and Baltimore. Come on, hang out. I'm going to be here in studio till 5 doing the show. Then I'm going to head down there to the Potawatomi Sportsbook from 6 o'clock until about through the first half of the game. We're going to do trivia. We're going to give away prizes. We're going to have some autograph stuff, jerseys, a whole bunch of fan merchandise to give away as well. Come on down, play some trivia and games. You know, it's going to be like Packers trivia. So if you're a Packers fan, I know it's Detroit and Baltimore, but I'm not going and finding a Detroit Lions trivia book, nor will any of you know any of that. So Packers trivia during the Detroit and the Baltimore game going on. I'm doing commercial breaks and stuff. I'm not going to talk while, the game is going on. So come on, hang out with us, Potawatomi Sportsbook. Reserve your seat ahead of time because I'm guessing it's going to be pretty busy. Go to Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Nominal fee. But again, that goes back towards your food and beverage. And man, 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, all kinds of food, great homemade desserts and pastries every day. I'll make sure to check that out. Fantasy Football Friday with our guy Joe Bartel, RotoWire Fantasy Sports, coming up in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. We will hear from Joe Bartel. So if you've got questions for him, you can dial it up, 414-677-1250. That's the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. You can also tweet us at the Fan Milwaukee or Facebook at Fan Milwaukee as well. And of course, you can also have questions if you want in the Dugout Chat on YouTube. That's right. Search the Fan Milwaukee. Find us on YouTube, and you can have it there as well. Okay, so a couple of different things going on here. Number one, we have to get to our green and gold update, and then I'll tell you all this crazy stuff going on with the Packers right now.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan with Steve Sparky Fifer.
All right, let's get to things being said in Green Bay today. I wanted to get Jeff Halfley. I don't think we're going to have time now, though. But, okay, so check this out. So, Rasheed Walker has been talking about this Packers team going undefeated. Would you have a problem, Charlie Usen, if your teammate in your locker room was talking about going undefeated to the media? Oh, hold on. There you go.
I don't have a problem with it, per se. I don't know if I'd really like it. I'd probably be a little annoyed by it, be giving the guy the side eye a little bit while he's talking about it. But at the same time, it's nothing. It's just talk.
Just talk.
If you don't go 18-0, I don't think people are really going to be jumping down your throat saying, oh, look at what you said before. Look at what you said before. That'd be dumb.
Well, 17-0 is one thing. If they figure out a way to go 18-0, now we're talking. I mean, look. Brady and Moss, they made that undefeated run, and then they lost in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, you could win 9-10 games and win a Super Bowl. I'd rather have that than going undefeated during an entire course of a season and losing in the Super Bowl.
Well, you'd rather have that than do what the Carolina Panthers did and lose the last game of the regular season, lose the perfect season, and then also lose in the Super Bowl.
Thanks for pointing that out for all those Panther fans, two of you that may be listening right now. Right. So Rasheed Walker talking yet again about this.
I mean, personally, I feel like I always tell people, I feel like we could have went undefeated the past 2 seasons. Like, we lost a lot of the games off a couple plays, but I feel like our offense been playing so good and so disciplined, and our defense been playing even better, and special teams been playing great. And I feel like, it's all about who comes out hottest at the beginning of the game and at the half. So, and I feel like we've been doing a good job of that. Pound for pound, I look at these teams and I don't really see who's better than us. Honestly, that's why I can say that so confidently.
This is the thing. You can be mad at that if you want. I love it. Bring some of that. You know what we should do? I know what we should do. We should take that clip, figure out how to get it to Pat Murphy, I'd be like, hey, dog, this is how you all should be talking when you're talking about being the 1 seed. Have some confidence in your group. Talk about winning a World Series. Talk about it's got to come through Milwaukee. Talk like that instead of talking about how great everybody else is except you. And I don't know how we're even doing this. And boy, we're really overcoming odds and blah, blah, blah. Man, you are far enough along now. And again, you don't even have to say, we're going to sweep the playoffs, right? I mean, there's no way he's ever going to say that. But even if he just said, like I said yesterday, playoffs come through us, And now maybe technically you can't say it till you win the one. But once you win the one, it's going to be, you want to go to the World Series? You're going to have to come here and beat us. Otherwise, it's going to be us going to the World Series. We earned this spot all year. We're the best team in the National League, and we plan on proving it when this thing gets underway in the divisional round. Case closed, mic drop, walk away, and the media's heads will be spinning all around like a horror Halloween movie.
Probably. But also, again, like you said it, the Brewers don't have that one. They don't have it yet. They don't have that resume behind them to have that type of confidence. I know that this Packers team right now, the current iteration of it doesn't have that behind them, but the history of the team does. And people want to go to Lambeau. We heard Dan Campbell talk about it in week 1, that people love going there and that it's such a legendary place with so much rich history behind it and behind the organization that these Packers players, I think, feel the right to go and say that because they are wearing the green and gold right now. For the Milwaukee Brewers, they haven't earned all that history behind it. They have one World Series appearance in 1982, which they lost, and it was an awesome story. Go check out Just a Bit Outside. It's the greatest documentary I've seen all year. It's really fun. That's all you have to your name. You can't have that type of confidence if you don't have that history to back up your confidence.
Absolutely right. All right, here is Micah Parsons now. He is asked about his former college teammates' comments about going undefeated.
To the people, he probably shouldn't say it, to the people, but I don't see anything wrong with what he said. They always say you should share your dreams in private because people won't understand them. So, to me, you're exactly right. To a million fans out there, they're probably like sheets full of themselves. You know how people are, like, who gives a damn though? Like, as long as he plays the way he should play and been playing, I don't care what he says as long as he backs it up. So keep talking if you want, but just be careful with the other people they're going to say if you care about it. If you like me, I don't really care about what people say. We should win every game. That's the mindset you should have. That's the mindset I want my left tackle to have, is that pound for pound, he feels like he could compete with the best because we're going to play some dogs, and he got one this week. So, it's going to be a challenge for him, and you should want your, left tackle to have that type of confidence.
I'll just say this. To his point, Micah Parsons' point, he's right. Now, what I disagree with is don't tell people, right? Because now if it doesn't happen, they're going to smash it in your face and all that other stuff. How do you accomplish big things if you don't dream big? How do you accomplish things that you don't think you could achieve if you don't dream that first and set that high bar, that high goal? I'm telling you right now, when this station went away and we were just running satellite radio, I was telling people in this building, man, how crazy would it be if we brought this damn thing back? Can you imagine if we brought this thing back and had local programming again after this whole thing got wiped out? Imagine how crazy that would be. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the country. Did it sound crazy? Yup. Did people tell me I was crazy? Nope. They lied to me. They were like, oh, yeah, you never know, Sparky. You never know. And I'm sure after I walked away, they're like, dude, that's not happening, man. What are you talking about? Did you realize at one point, Charlie, they were talking about taking this studio for another radio station to take it instead because there's nobody in here. We're wasting all this space. Why don't we put a different station in here? And thankfully, they didn't do it.
They didn't, yeah.
Well, thankfully, they didn't do it. But yeah, man, that was crazy. But again, dreaming, right? Dream big. You never know. Sometimes it may happen. Push your hard work, your hard effort into it and all that. Never know. Okay, so those are Micah Parsons' comments from earlier today and Rasheed Walker. I'll give you the Packers injury report, as we always do in this segment. And some good news. I think I would say there's some good news here on the Packers injury report. Jordan Love is good, and he has been good all week. I don't know why they continue to put Jordan Love on the injury report, but he is still a full participant with his left thumb, so that's positive. Josh Jacobs, who's been limited participant, still limited participant. Nate Hobbs is now a full participation, so that means he should play this week, right? Aaron Banks, full participation, so you would think he's playing this week. Zane Anderson, full participation as well, so that's good. No participation from Tucker Kraft, listed as questionable. Zach Tom with his oblique, limited participation. So not no participation like Kraft, listed as questionable. Jaden Reed obviously is out. Bo Melton, full participation as well. So right now, really, the only two guys in question are Tucker Kraft and Zach Tom. That's pretty healthy considering what that list looked like at the beginning of the week, looking like most of these guys are going to play. And like I said, you better be able to beat Cleveland, even if you don't have Tucker Kraft or Zach Tom.
Well, and both those players haven't been ruled out yet either. So
Correct.
there's
They're
a
questionable.
chance they could be healthy for that game, and you don't have any injuries.
The Zach Tom thing, please do not press the issue with that oblique. I beg of you, do not press the issue. Because if he plays in this game and hurts it worse and does something worse to it and then is out for months or several weeks, you're going to look stupid.
Would that be worse than the Jair Alexander situation last year to you?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. But again, I don't know. Maybe Belton will play way better.
You were pretty mad about the Jair Alexander stuff.
Furious. Because I called it.
Mm-hmm.
I called it before it happened, and then it happened. That's why I was so mad last year on this show talking about it. All right, coming up next, Fantasy Football Friday. Joe Bartel, RotoWire Fantasy Sports. Get your fantasy football questions in. So let's roll. Nicolay Law Fan Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Facebook and Twitter, The Fan Milwaukee. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM at 157 FM, The Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. See Sparky, Fifer here. Charlie Using over there, other side of the glass. Speaking about our friends over there at Wendy's, for me, the only thing better than eating Wendy's is earning more Wendy's while I eat. Hello, Wendy's Rewards. The entire menu is up for grabs, too. Whatever food you order directly through the Wendy's app, Wendy's website, or at a restaurant counts. For every $1 you spend, you'll earn 10 points. You can place your order for pickup or delivery with the Wendy's app or website, and you're good. That's literally all you have to do. Mobile and website orders add reward points automatically. Done and done. It's the best and so easy too. Do not forget, Green Bay football postgame show comes up Sunday afternoon after Green Bay and Cleveland. Tommy Wirtz and myself will talk to Ryan Wood after the game from the locker room from the Green Bay Press Gazette. He joined us earlier in the first hour. If you missed it, go back, listen to every download and listen to your favorite podcast at Odyssey app as well, as where you can stream the show, AUDACY. Check us out on YouTube. Search The Fan Milwaukee there. We have shorts, videos, live streaming of the show. So all that fun stuff. But anyways, Ryan Wood, we hear from Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, all the different players in the locker room talking to the media. Ryan Wood gives us all of that. When he gets all of that, we play that back on the air. And your calls, your tweets, your chat on YouTube as well with Tommy and myself. So looking forward to it after Green Bay, Cleveland, Sunday afternoon. Make the switch back here to the Fan. Joining us now, he is on YouTube. Our very, very good friend, Joe Bartel of RotoWire. Follow him on Twitter at JB Fantasy Sports and hosts on Sirius XM as well, if memory serves correct. Joe, how are we doing? I do not hear Joe.
Yeah, I think that's a me thing. I think we're good now. Yes. Hello.
I got him. Okay, good. We've made it. Joe is here to take questions if you have any. Otherwise, he and I will just chat, which is fine too. Nicolay Law Fan Talk text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. You can also use Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee or chat right there on the YouTube Dugout chat as well. Put your questions up there, and we can go from there. And it can be anything, right? Who should I start this week? Hey, I got this trade offer. Hey, I'm looking at a couple guys in the waiver wire. Who would you suggest? Like all that good stuff, all can be answered by the one and only Joe Bartel of RotoWire. All right, Joe. So let's start off first talking about the Green Bay Packers. Who benefits most from the Jaden Reed injury?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone in the long term more than Matthew Golden, who I would encourage fantasy managers to hold on to if possible. I don't see the Packers using Matthew Golden to that extent in the immediate future, only because they don't really have to. I think the best way to describe this scenario is kind of what the Chiefs did for rookie or Rashee Rice 2 years ago and Xavier Worthy last year, where by the end of November, early December, it was very clear what the Chiefs wanted to do offensively with both those guys. But you didn't really have to tip off the NFL or opposing defenses as to how we're going to use that. So in my mind, I think Matthew Golden towards the end of the season is going to be our definition, or the Packers' definition of an alpha receiver. This is not Devontae Adams or Jordy Nelson or Greg Jennings. I don't think anyone in this offense, the way Matt LaFleur wants to run things and Jordan Love targets people, is going to be a 10-target guy. I just don't know how that works, and certainly hurts things fantasy-wise. But the important catches, the schemed looks like Jaden Reed's touchdown in week 1, for example, I think at some point that will be Matthew Golden's work. In the immediate future, if it's not Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Doubs, I don't know if there's anybody else that really benefits from it. And I think arguably both probably have a little bit more fantasy value, with the idea that, let's just say Wicks gets maybe a target or two closer to the red zone, and Romeo Doubs, maybe instead of just third down or red zone targets, is more used as like we saw in week 1, whereas a deep threat and then some short yardage throws too, like that. So it's tough because I don't think week 3 Love's going to attempt much more than, let's just say, 30 passes if Vegas has any indication about how this game's going to go. And in that scenario, even with Tucker Kraft possibly not playing, I don't know how anyone outside of Romeo Doubs or Dontavian Wicks ends up benefiting from Jaden Reed's injury.
What about this week, this matchup against Cleveland? We've been talking about it for the last couple days here on The Fan. What do you do if you have Josh Jacobs, knowing how good this Browns defense is against the run, knowing that right now Zach Tom is questionable with that oblique injury? It looks like Banks should be good to go. He was listed as a full participant today in practice for the Packers, but at right tackle, that is up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you drafted Josh Jacobs, you probably have to play him, but this is going to be one of those lesser scoring games for your running back 1 or 2. And I have some thought that maybe Jacobs is the one that gets a few more short yardage targets if Tucker Kraft again does not play. We'll have to see what ends up happening there with his status. But you're right. I mean, I think this is going to be more like let's see if Jacobs gets 14 for 65. And if he scores a touchdown or if he gets a bit more work from a pass catching perspective, that's great. If I'm the Packers, I don't want to allow any time or opportunity where the Browns feel like this is close. And to do that, I think you're kind of just pressing down on their neck the entire time, either making explosive plays with Jordan Love or taking the ball out of the offense's chances or hands to be able to score points. And Flacco's going to give you a turnover too anyway, as is. So in my mind, I think it's played safe. You're not too aggressive. The last thing you want to do is give up multiple sacks to Myles Garrett where you're punting the ball away or some fluky tipped pick that changes the ball possession. So I think Jacobs will get plenty of work. But yeah, I mean, the Browns' run defense is really good, and they play a lot of man defense, which I think Romeo Doubs in particular is going to be able to exploit against Sunday. So that's why I think Jacobs is probably more like a limited running back 2 sort of scenario. You can't bench him, but he's not going to have a whole massive stat line, I think.
On the other side of the ball for Cleveland, Fannin is a guy that I think was a hot waiver wire pickup going into week 2 last week. He has the ability to separate and quickly out there on that passing route. But as Micah Parsons said earlier, pretty much he's never sacked Joe Flacco, and the hunter is out, and he must get Joe Flacco. I told Charlie, like, I'd call a coach and be like, dude, I can't get off the toilet. Like, I can't even make it to the car to come in. I got a stomach virus, something. I can't make it because that dude is smelling blood right now for Joe Flacco. I don't think I would touch any Cleveland offensive player.
Yeah, I think you're playing Harold Fannin in deeper leagues. You had mentioned him as a waiver wire target post week 1. I think Juwan Johnson as well, too, for the Saints, and arguably far more confidence in Juwan Johnson to start him week to week than Harold Fannin. But the way that Kevin Stefanski plays those 2 tight ends, David Njoku being the other one, the scheme is going to allow Flacco for most times to get the ball out quickly. And Cedric Tillman scores a touchdown last week against the Ravens. It was kind of a fluky touchdown or a fluky bump in the air, and he goes and scores one there. So, like, I don't know. I mean, Flacco is going to probably throw the ball 40 times, and maybe Micah Parsons ends up getting him there for a sack. I think it's certainly possible that the interior of the defensive line also causes issues, too. I don't know if the stats of Jack Conklin yet. I think he was probably the closer of the 2, Bitonio being the other guard for the Browns. And if both are out, again, I don't know if Conklin is or is not, that's going to be a tough spot, I think, overall for that offense, generate a lot of points for the Browns. Again, in my mind, this should be a pretty safe game for the Packers if they choose to do safe things. If there's going to be some fluky turnover, either from an interception or somebody peanut punches the ball out on Josh Jacobs, and the field possession changed a little bit. You could see a scenario midway through the third quarter where it's Packers 17, Browns 10, and they're still trying to score. But even in that situation, you're right. I mean, I don't know how the Browns are scoring a lot of fantasy points to make any of those guys super relevant.
Bitonio did not participate, listed as questionable. Conklin, limited participant like he's been all week, listed as questionable as well for that Browns offensive line. Let's switch gears, talk about a former Packer. Aaron Jones is hurt. I know, you're surprised. So he's going to be out several weeks for the Minnesota Vikings. What does this do for the status of Jordan Mason? How quickly does he rise up that running back board this week for fantasy?
You know, it would have probably been pretty high if not for the injury news for JJ McCarthy, and whether that was injury or just related to poor performance, I don't think we'll ever know, but I actually think it's far more related to the poor performance than it is the sprained ankle, which could keep him out a month potentially, sure, depending on how much the Vikings are concerned about that. But yeah, Aaron Jones out on injury reserve, will miss the next 4 games at minimum. The lack of depth behind Aaron Jones, I think, is almost comical from a roster build perspective. Xavier Scott, who I was not aware who he was as a player prior to the Aaron Jones announcement. I did a bit more research about him. And of course, signing Cam Akers is likely a practice squad call up too. I think Jordan Mason's just going to get a ton of work, both as a pass catcher and as a runner. But with Carson Wentz as the quarterback for the foreseeable future, to what degree that really means, I don't know. And I think Christian Darrisaw, their stud left tackle, if he ends up playing this week or next week, that will also make things a little bit better too. But at least for this matchup, I don't know if it's entirely a guarantee that Jordan Mason's like a 100 total yard guy and a touchdown, even though by default there is nobody else in Minnesota that rather roster. So you're probably playing Jordan Mason, I would imagine, in most scenarios where you drafted him, but he's not like an obvious running back 2 even, like you might assume that given the JJ McCarthy injury.
He is our guy, Joe Bartel, RotoWire Fantasy Sports. Follow him on Twitter at JB Fantasy Sports. The Sparky Fifer here. Charlie Usen over there producing the show today. If you have any fantasy football questions, you can hop aboard as well. Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Joe, I didn't see myself talking about Dre May as a starting quarterback in fantasy football. I had no intention of ever drafting Drake May, and I did not. But Apparently somebody did, and are continuing to play Drake May every week. Your thoughts on how he's looked so far?
Yeah, I mean that's not a fair a character assassination of Drake May, because from the rushing perspective, at least in fantasy, he's been okay. And I think in week one, you certainly were able to get by with him as a starting quarterback. I would imagine Drake May is going to be in that sort of quarterback tier that you're describing, those low end quarterback one, certainly as bye weeks roll around. There's a lot of volume right now in the Patriots passing attack, which I wasn't expecting. You'd think with Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, and Travion Henderson, there's going to be far more carries, but there is a lot of the check down stuff. And then with Drake May as a rusher, there's enough interest in the fantasy value. Now, again, against the Steelers defense, they've quietly been not very good against the pass. And I don't know if it's one that I'm necessarily scared where I have to play Drake May, but there probably are better options, like you had mentioned, that are out there instead. Like Daniel Jones, for example, I think in a good spot against the Titans defense. I would probably rather play Drake May because I haven't quite trusted what I've seen from my own eyes right now of the first 2 weeks, which have been awesome offense from the Colts. But that's more of like quarterback 13, 14, 15 range where Drake May was already being drafted. And there's been a lot of people who have rose above that group. I think about Caleb Williams, for example, was in that same tier. And I think against the Cowboys this week, that should be just insane amount of offense on both sides of the ball. So Drake May is on that range, but I don't know if he's like going to be elevating much more past that to have some comfort in him.
There he is, our guy Joe Bartel. Let's switch gears here. Let's go over to the wide receiver thing and talk about some of that. Caleb Williams sucks. We all know that. There's no question about that. And I've got DJ Moore in a league, and Kay, she's got Loveland. We already got rid of him because that's been a complete failure through 2 weeks. Their average third down distance, I believe, is third down in like 10.7 right now this year. So that's not good either. Horrible. But with all that being said, there does appear to be a shining light for fantasy football players in Roma Odunze.
Yeah, Roma Odunze has been fantastic, and it goes back to I wouldn't know if I'm going to strongly say Caleb Williams sucks, but he has not played quite to the level of
No, it's okay. You could say that. Charlie, you're a Bears fan. What would you say?
I wouldn't say he sucks.
What would you say?
I'm 2-0 in my dynasty league where I drafted Caleb and Rome. So
if you're on
YouTube,
you could see his head like bobbing, like that's right, like a little diva on the corner or something. All right, go ahead.
I have some confidence that Ben Johnson's going to make that passing attack look far more efficient. And while Caleb Williams definitely has deficiencies, we saw it last year. I think certainly this year he is not sucks. I don't want to go that degree from a quarterback perspective, but Odunze has been awesome. I love that Ben Johnson's getting more involved. The whole question this offseason was who plays the Amon-Ra St. Brown role for this new look version of Ben Johnson's offense in Chicago. And I think conventionally the way we describe that is Odunze right now, which is great because he's been an obvious fantasy start the past 2 weeks, and he certainly should be this week as well too. Your DJ Moore share should look a little bit better after this Cowboys game. The total for it, I think, is at 50 points. I wouldn't be shocked if one of these teams scores 50 in their own right, much less the combined two. If there is hopefully no weather involved, which it sounds like there might be just a little bit of drizzling or rain happening, I think Dak Prescott's throwing for a ton of yards. I think Caleb Williams throwing for a ton of yards. Odunze is an obvious start, and I think so is DJ Moore this week.
All right, let's continue on talking about a couple of the other wide receivers. And again, this is, the start or sit 'em type stuff that you have every week trying to figure out who to play, who not to play. A guy that, again, another guy I wasn't a fan of, not because I didn't think he was any good. I just didn't think he was worth me drafting, was Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver for the 49ers.
Yeah, and Brock Purdy, I guess, was a limited participant in practice today. I don't think he ends up playing this week. I don't think the Niners expect him to play as well, too. And I was hoping that Mac Jones was going to be featuring Ricky Pearsall a little bit more last week. In fact, against the Saints matchup, I was like, oh, this could be perfect. It should be a smash spot for Ricky Pearsall. Instead, Juwan Jennings ends up getting the beneficiary, gets nearly 20 fantasy points. Juwan Jennings then, as it has been basically the entire season, has separate injuries, ankle and shoulder, and fails to practice all week. He was a DNP today. He is listed as questionable. Juwan Jennings is a tough receiver. He plays through a lot of stuff. I would be a little bit surprised if he is out there this week. And if that's the case, then Ricky Pearsall probably needs to be somewhere in the range of top 15 fantasy receiver. We saw from Mac Jones last year in Jacksonville that we know that type of quarterback. And again, let's just say sub backup, right? Like quarterback 30 through 40 in the NFL. You could have those kind of quality backups at least end up targeting one player. And if it's not George Kittle, of course, and into reserve, we don't think Juwan Jennings will be available. Then I think Ricky Pearsall is going to see an insane, at least relative to what we've seen the past couple weeks, an insane amount of volume that should be making him, again, I think almost a guaranteed fantasy start if Juwan Jennings is unavailable.
All right, Joe Bartel, who's that one guy that maybe not a lot of people are talking about, but that sneaky guy that you wouldn't mind playing this week?
Yeah, I think it actually is Jacoby Myers, and I would imagine for a lot of folks he's already out there. But I watched that Monday night debacle against the Chargers, and the only positive takeaway I had from the Raiders' perspective was, man, Geno Smith targets Jacoby Myers a ton. And obviously now with Jaden Daniels ruled out, it's Marcus Mariota versus Geno Smith and the Raiders. Not a very fun game to watch, but if there's now volume in the passing attack that's more sustainable than last year, Jacoby Myers, who's already kind of like a wide receiver 3 in PPR leagues, I think becomes even more interesting to me rest of season. It might still be like 1,200 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns, and that becomes a little bit of a limited fantasy asset. But if you can go ahead and get Jacoby Myers because people understand, the Raiders aren't very good, we don't really like Geno Smith, whatever. I think you're able to capitalize on a narrative that's just incorrect about how Jacoby Myers is featured within that offense. So he's probably one of my top trade candidates right now, alongside Juwan Johnson, a tight end for the Saints, who again was a waiver wire pickup 2 weeks ago. The volume that he's been getting in New Orleans is almost just guaranteed to be sustainable, at least for a tight end wasteland that really, outside of Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, Tyler Warren, and Kraft, at least when he was healthy, had basically 4 guys that were difference makers and nobody else. So Juwan Johnson, Jacoby Myers, those are 2 guys I definitely want to trade for right now.
We do have a question in the Dugout YouTube chat. Charlie, what do you got?
So over in the dugout, Jeff says, "Hey guys, I can only start one: Quentin Johnston, T. Higgins, or Cortland Sutton. Currently leaning Johnston."
Yeah, and rightfully so. We've had big touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. That Broncos defense scares me a little bit, and I don't think there's going to be a Patrick Surtain that's necessarily trailing or following Quentin Johnston, but I'm a little bit surprised the Chargers are only favored by 2.5 points despite looking as good as they have, and I almost wonder if Vegas knows a little bit of something that we don't in terms of how the Broncos will play, or more importantly, how the Chargers will play. I would rather play T. Higgins, and I understand the concern with Jake Browning now as the quarterback for the Bengals here for the next 2 months, if not more. It's obviously not as good as Joe Burrow. Jake Browning can get the ball to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. The way that you were thinking about those guys means you won't get their peak anymore. But T. Higgins was a basically a mid-third round, early third round selection because of the volume, touchdown upside. That's still present with Jake Browning as the quarterback. So I'd rather play him over Johnston.
There he is, Joe Bartel. Follow him on Twitter. If you got fantasy football questions between now and Sunday at kickoff, tweet him at him. He'll respond to you. Twitter at JB Fantasy Sports. And he's a Packer fan too. At JB Fantasy Sports. Joe Bartel, RotoWire Fantasy. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you next Friday at 4:20.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. See you.
Take care. There he is, Joe Bartel checking in. Coming up next, things that we missed on today's show. And we got to talk about our Prize Picks lineup. We have to build a Prize Picks lineup, Charlie, for the games coming up on Sunday.
All right.
So I think what we'll do is we'll go 4 players, and you pick 2, I pick 2.
A little Mount Pixmore action over
Yeah.
there. Huh?
We'll see how this goes. You like that?
I like it.
All right. We'll see how we do with that. Charlie Hughes at Sparky, Fifer, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie Usen over there. Don't forget, brand new fan lineup coming up on Monday morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Inside Wisconsin Sports. Trevor Thomas, you know him from the Inside Wisconsin podcast with John Anderson, along with Josh Albrecht, longtime radio vet. So those two will be doing the morning show. It's going to be a lot of fun. They were both just on the Mason Crosby show yesterday. And you could tell immediately that is going to be a fun show. So that's going on 6 to 9 Monday morning. Then 9 to noon with Kuhn. I told you what time it was in the name of the show. And John Kuhn, the former Packers fullback and sideline reporter for the Packers radio broadcast, will be joined by Rami Makloff, longtime host of The Fan here, as well as Brandon Snide will be producing that show, longtime producer, I should say, in the market. We've been trying to get him for a while now. And we finally did. So Brandon Snide will be here along with Rami Makloff and John Kuhn, 9 to noon. Then the foundation of the station, the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis, presented to you by Verizon. They're here from noon until 2. And then this show, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's from 2 until 5 with myself, Steve Sparky Fifer, and Charlie Usen. So all of that going on Monday. Before we get to Monday, though, Sunday, Green Bay football postgame show after Packers and Browns, Tommy Wirtz and myself. And before we get to that point on Saturday, we've got our guy Charlie Usen over there along with Jack Pembroke doing their show from 9 to 11 tomorrow.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Always a lot of fun with my guy Jack over there. I think I want to dig a little bit more into this transfer portal update that the college football world is seeing right now and what we're hearing from guys like Nick Saban and hearing from all these different coaches. It's going to be a lot of fun. With that, I'm efforting a Badgers guest right now, so we're working on getting that. So hopefully we have somebody for that tomorrow morning. Yeah,
I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And then after that's all done, you've got Notre Dame football, I should say, here on the Fan. We're the flagship for Notre Dame football. Pre-game coverage starts at 1:30 tomorrow here on the Fan. If you want to check out Notre Dame football, I feel like we've jinxed Notre Dame. I really do. I mean, what is it? Purdue this week? They're going to crush Purdue. But I mean, all these aspirations.
Football can be weird sometimes, man.
I just feel like the dark cloud that kind of hangs over my head sometimes affects everything in my wake. And I feel like that being on the same station may have really screwed things up for Notre Dame. I hope not. I really do. Not that I'm a gigantic Notre Dame fan, because I'm definitely not a gigantic Notre Dame fan by any stretch of the imagination.
We're getting there. We may be gigantic Notre Dame fans by the end of the season. Never know. They
got the Badgers next year. So
exactly. You got to know a little bit about
that's going to be an interesting game next year, because that's pretty much like Wisconsin's toughest game is probably going to be Notre Dame next year on that schedule. All right, let's talk about Prize Picks, and we got to build our lineup here. And I decided that I wanted to build the lineup this way. I want to build the lineup where I take a couple of guys, Charlie takes a couple of guys, and we go from there. Hey, Packer fans, every game counts. So don't miss a moment of the action this season on Prize Picks. Make your picks on your favorite Green Bay Stars. Ride with the Pack all season long. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in as well. Don't forget they invented Flex Play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. Double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. All right, so let's build our lineup here at the end of the show. Now, they have those max discount deals with Prize Picks right now, and the max discount deals, they're pretty much trying to give you one, right? They're trying to give you one. It still has to play out. They're literally not going to just give you one, but you have a chance to take advantage of it. Patrick Mahomes is that guy this week. It's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, more than a half a passing yard. That feels like a good deal at this point if you're doing this, correct?
I think more is pretty safe, yeah.
More than half a yard for Patrick Mahomes. All right, Charlie, your turn. Where are we feeling like we're going next? And there's a lot of good options here, right? There's some popular ones here. So Josh Jacobs, more than a half a rushing or receiving touchdown, is a popular one on the board right now.
I'm doubling down with my confident and going with Jordan Love with more than 1.5 passing touchdowns in this game.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I like that. I'm good with that. I'm going Bijan Robinson gets into the end zone for Atlanta against Carolina. That's more than a half a rushing or receiving touchdown. And there's one more left.
That Bijan would be good for my aforementioned dynasty team. I'd be really happy
Oh,
about
you
that.
would be? Okay.
My last one here would be doubling down on my other double down, where Matthew Golden will have more than 2.5 receptions in this game.
Ooh, Matthew Golden, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got to go over here to receiving touchdown.
Make you search a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna make me search a little bit. That's all right though. I'll get it. Receiving targets. Where is receiving touchdowns? Still looking.
Just receptions.
Oh, receptions,
Yep,
not receiving
2.5
touchdowns.
receptions.
Oh, let me go back. I'll find it. Don't you worry. I think overall it's pretty good. You know, the one that I was kind of looking at and I didn't do was Aaron Rodgers, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns this week. And I found that to be interesting because Rodgers on most weeks going to throw 2. I mean, that's what it's going to be. Matthew Golden more than 2.5, you said?
Correct. Yep.
All right. Let's finalize the lineup here, see if it's allowed. Jordan Love more than what did we say? Did we say it was?
More than 1.5 passing
More
touchdowns.
than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Matthew Golden, more than 2.5 receptions. Bijan, more than a half of touchdown. So if he scores, you're good, rushing or receiving. And then Patrick Mahomes, more than a half of passing yard. Those are 4. Now the question is this. Do we go flex play or do we not go flex play? If we go flex play, then if all 4 are correct, you get 4 times. If you go 3 correct, then it's 1.25 times. If you go 4 correct on the other one, it's 7.5 times correct, but you don't get nada if you only get 3 or 4.
That's go with the flex play, Sparky.
I agree.
I want something here, man.
I agree. We will go the flex play. We'll see if this is allowed by Prize Picks. Sometimes I put this lineup in and the Prize Picks is like, nope, you can't do that. We're all set. We are submitted and we are ready to rock and roll. So all set to go there. And we'll see how we do. It'll be fun to see what happens. Badgers coming up this weekend against Maryland. Charlie Houston, you'll be, I'm sure, be talking more about that coming up tomorrow. Thoughts on that game?
I think this is a game where the Wisconsin Badgers can go out here and, again, like you said before, get a win that you're supposed to win. Go out here and get as many wins as you're supposed to get before you start getting to the strength of your Big Ten schedule. And I think there's some games for the Badgers moving forward here. I think they can beat Iowa. I really do. That was one of the games that I picked. I think they can beat Minnesota. I think if their defense looks this good and you can prove your defense continues to look good against Maryland, I might have more confidence in this team moving forward. I still don't seem sold. Yeah.
I struggle to pick the Badgers to beat anybody. I really do. I struggle
Billy
to pick
Edwards'
the Badgers.
revenge game? Come on.
Is he playing? I don't think he's playing, is he? No.
He was questionable last time.
I don't think he's playing. Double check and look. I don't think he's playing. Double check. I mean, maybe if Billy Edwards is actually out there, and I don't think he is, but if he is actually out there and playing, maybe. But even in that situation, he's coming off of injury, haven't played in a minute. So even from that standpoint, you're still talking about having to build chemistry back up. Remember, that cat got hurt in the first game. He didn't even complete the first game when he was out there. So as far as chemistry with wide receivers and all that stuff, all right, I'm going to roll.
It's a game time decision right now.
So maybe coin flip. I bet you he doesn't start. But I'll say they win this one because of the running backs, which, if I'm being honest, haven't been all that impressive either to this point. I love Dupree. He got a bunch of carries his last game. We'll see how this all goes. So I'll say the Badgers win by 3. I don't think they cover, though. I don't think they're covering.
I think the Badgers win this game 17-10. They win by 7.
That's not going to cover either.
It's not going to cover
either. No,
either.
that also doesn't cover.
Trust either of these.
I swear to God, I don't understand how there's so much of a favorite in this thing. Okay, now the other one obviously is Packers and Browns coming up on Sunday. Green Bay football postgame show immediately following that one on Sunday. Who you got?
I got the Packers. I think that's pretty simple. I think most people have the Packers in this type of game. I have the Packers winning this one pretty similar to Ryan Wood. I'm going to say 35-14.
35-14. I'll say the Packers win this one 20-10. 20-10.
No faith in the offense?
Over the Cleveland Browns. I just, If Zach Tom doesn't play, I want to see what happens with Belton. That to me is going to be
Good
interesting.
last week.
We'll see. Or do they put Jordan Morgan on the right tackle now that Banks is playing? That'll
crazy.
do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good one. Talk to you Sunday after the game. Toodles.